The end of the year might be coming up quick, but Francisco Lindor is starting to get red hot. And like we've seen the last few years, when Francisco Lindor is hot, the Mets are hot.
Vito, you need your guys to be your guys. And right now, Francisco Lindor has been just that, and then some for the Mets. During a 9-game hitting streak, he is hitting .500, OPSing over 1,400, only 2 strikeouts during the span. Francisco Lindor is as hot as anybody in Major League Baseball. Like you said, as Francisco goes, so go the Mets. The offense has been heating up for sure. Lindor, a huge part of that. For the Mets to get back in the winning ways, they will need that production from the top of the lineup. Francisco Lindor is giving it to them. Time to ride the coattails of one of the best players in baseball.
Welcome to Meet at the Apple, presented by PC Richard & Son. I'm Vito Calisi. That's Jonathan Barron. And we ended the last episode saying we were going into this series feeling good, feeling better after that Mariners series. And the truth is, after 3 games, it just, things aren't clicking right now. And it's tough to watch games right now, John.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I ate a blueberry. That's my coping mechanism, is eating blueberries. We did that episode as we all awaited the news on Francisco Alvarez, and we all found out together on Tuesday that Alvarez was in rough shape, and that the injury he sustained on Sunday night in Williamsport is going to require surgery at one point or another. And now the question is, can he play through it? Can he bear the pain, and can he perform with the injury being what it is? So that was already a damper on the mood following taking 2 out of 3 from the Mariners, who then went on to get swept in Philadelphia. So the Mariners have obviously stumbled on some pretty tough times themselves. But the Mets go out there and they win game 1, and there's a lot of positives, and there's guys stepping up. And Mark Vientos hits a big home run. And Brett Baty continues his big August, OPSing over 1,000 in the month. He hits a home run. So you start to think to yourself, okay, well, you lose Alvarez, but now other guys are stepping up, and that's what good teams do. Good teams fill voids. Good teams have that next man up mentality, and good teams have enough players on the 26-man roster and beyond to have that step-up effect continue. Mets win a laugher in game 1. David Peterson throws a gem. He incites the name Chris Capuano, becoming the first Mets lefty with at least 8 innings pitched and 10 strikeouts or more in a start. And then it all, once again, starts to crumble for the Mets. And it starts on Wednesday, where Kodai Senga was not his sharpest. He was putting guys on, and, he had a rough start. And the Mets show fight, Vito, right? Like, that's all you can ask. You go down 5-1, and the Mets come back. They have the tying run on third base with 1 out, the go-ahead run on second base with 1 out. They're unable to push it across. Then they need 1 base runner to get the top of the order back up, and the game ends with a double play. And then you go into Thursday, and you have a 3-0 lead, and Sean Manaea is cruising, and everything seems like okay. The Nationals are throwing Mackenzie Gore at us, but you knock him out of the game before he can complete 5 innings, and things are looking good. And then it all crumbles down once again. And now the Mets are going to go into Atlanta. They're a half game clear of the Cincinnati Reds. It becomes more and more evident that, shout out Josh Rosenman, that Cincinnati series, September 5, 6, 7, looms rather large. And, there's going to be baseball played after that, but those are all 2-game swings. And, the Mets should be preparing the rotation, whatever they have to do, to put themselves in the best spot possible to go toe-to-toe with the Reds and win that series. Obviously, there's a lot of baseball before then. The Mets go to Atlanta this weekend. We'll talk about that. But, man, this is a dogfight. You know what this is reminding me of? This is starting to feel like the 2016 season. You texted me earlier today. The Mets have really been bitten by the injury bug. I know every team is bitten by the injury bug. But, Vito, I mean, when you tell everyone the names that you mentioned, the injuries you mentioned to me via text message a couple hours ago.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was just thinking about how decimated this team has been by injuries this year. And then I just started writing them out. So I'm going to list them all out for you here. And there's a few categories. I mean, 1, let's start off with just the guys who went down for the entire year. AJ Minter, Danny Young, Griffin Canning, all donezo. Then let's go to the other pitchers in the rotation that just missed serious time. Sean Manaea, Frankie Montas, Tyler McGill, Kodai Senga. I feel like people forgot Kodai Senga got injured for a month there. Then let's go over to position players. Starling Marte, Jesse Winker, Jose Siri, Francisco Alvarez twice, Jeff McNeil, and let's all be honest, Francisco Lindor broke a toe and was playing injured for the last month. That is 13 different guys plus Francisco Lindor. And then I think I even sent more things saying, oh, yeah, John, we're not even including Christian Scott getting TJ last year, Brooks Raley not being available for the second half. It's easy to be frustrated by this team and by the losses that are the leads that are blown and by the rotation not being able to put out what we're expecting of them. But the truth is, there's also this factor that this team has been decimated by injuries in a way we haven't seen since 2021.
Yeah, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. Last year, one thing that the Mets really had work in their favor was the starting pitching health. I think David Peterson, coming off the hip surgery he had in the offseason, missing April and a lot of May, that was really the biggest injury that the Mets had. Other than that, last year in the starting rotation, guys took the ball every 4 or 5 days. And when you can have 4 guys make 30-plus starts, you are way ahead of the game because that is not the rule. That is an exception. Most teams in Major League Baseball do not have that. And again, we're not saying the Mets are the only team that have been bitten by the injury bug. Every team in baseball is bit by the injury bug. Giancarlo Stanton showed up to spring training this year, and not one, but both of his elbows were barking. He had tennis elbow issue in both of the elbows. I mean, that's just one random one. Mookie Betts also had a broken pinky toe. That really affected him. The Dodgers have had all sorts of injuries. You want to talk about the Cincinnati Reds? They were without Hunter Green.
Look at this weekend we're about to play. I mean, they've been completely decimated by injuries. Aaron Judge went down. It's been a tough year all over, and we're not making excuses for the Mets. We're just pointing out, like, it's a glaring thing that happened this year. And John, like you said, last year we used to laugh about only the weirdest start last year was Julio Teheran. Was the only like, oh yeah, like that'll be a trivia fact about the 2024 season because everybody made their starts every week. And now here we are where it's just, it's tough to keep up when stuff like this happens.
It is, but, baseball teams need to continue pushing forward. And I think that, you look at the National League at large, and we talked with David Stearns about this and, the deadline philosophy and how wide open things seem to be in the National League. There are, outside of the Brewers, so many teams with so many issues. I mean, I saw a tweet that since July 4th, the Colorado Rockies have a better record than the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Cubs have had their issues, especially in the second half. I mean, it's just really been a weird season. So there are many fan bases that are frustrated. And obviously the Mets fan base, we kind of have our own little Mets echo chamber here. And we all care so much, and we watch and, our, for better or for worse, a lot of us, our moods and our, how'd your day go hinge on a baseball game. 100%. Literally hinges on the outcome of a baseball game. And that's a blessing and a curse. And sometimes in some weeks and months and years, it's more a curse than a blessing. But, I think that every day that we have, something not go our way, it's like that very famous Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm meme where he's walking out the door and he says, blank you and I'll see you tomorrow. Like no matter how frustrated, how bad things are, I think it's a 7:25 start in Atlanta on Friday night. We're all going to be locked in. We're all going to be locked in. We're ready for a big weekend. The Mets on paper look to be in, I don't want to say an advantageous way against the Braves when it comes to the starting pitching matchups, but Atlanta announced today Spencer Strider will not be pitching against the Mets. I'm not so sure that's a good thing. The one game the Mets defeated the Braves in last week was a Spencer Strider start. He has been struggling. He is not the Spencer Strider that we are accustomed to seeing, that we remember. The Braves just claimed Cal Quantrill off waivers from the Marlins. He's going to start on Saturday, and then it's going to be Bryce Elder on Sunday for the Braves, who threw a gem against the Mets last week. So, and people are talking about the Mets losing to teams with sub 500 records. I saw Jolly Olive's tweet. Shout out Jolly Olive. But we've talked about this. We'll say it again. And I'm not making an excuse right now for this team, for this series. But the Braves are red hot. The Pirates, when the Mets got them, were red hot. The, who's the other one? The Rays. When the Rays came to town June 13, 14, 15, they were red hot. I think right before that series or after that series, they went and they beat the Detroit Tigers in a series as well. So it's all about when you catch a team, when you're playing your best baseball. And, Carlos Mendoza has said it. I didn't catch his post-game comments today. I'm sure if he didn't say it, it's still, something that has kind of been the theme. The Mets are not playing their best baseball right now. Now, are there positives to take away? I think so. What Brett Baty is doing, Brett Baty is, looking like he's going to reach 20 home runs. Like I said, the OPS is over 1,000 in the month of August. That's awesome. He had a 455-foot home run on Wednesday night, 1 foot shorter than Ronnie Mauricio's 456-foot blast in Colorado. So, if they say the ball travels 10% further, then Brett Baty has the longest home run at sea level, as Gary Cohen would put it. Brett Baty's been a revelation for the Mets. Francisco Lindor. That's the big one for me, Vito. 9-game hitting streak. He's hitting an even 500 during the hitting streak. For a while when the Mets were struggling, especially offensively, the big question was, can Lindor get it going? Is the toe? Did this totally throw off his equilibrium at the plate? And is the season just, kind of a lost year? He has bounced back in a huge way, hit another leadoff home run, his 8th of the season. That is the new franchise record for single-season leadoff home runs. He has been great. It's not the offense. And that is a very encouraging sign, Vito, because, the offense was really an issue for a while with the Mets, and they've been really effective, especially with 2 outs, as it's been noted on the SNY broadcast. That is a very, very positive sign. This offense is going. Pete Alonso's fallen a little bit cold, but we know that Pete Alonso at any time, one swing away. But Francisco Lindor turning it around and, just being an on-base machine and doing damage, that right there is one of those things that the Mets need if they want to get into the postseason. And right now, he is as hot as anybody in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and one more person to not forget about, but Mark Vientos is also somebody who's really turned it on over the last week. Not only did he have the big home run in the Little League Classic, but
where are you going, Vito?
I'm just going to leave that in. My camera just went nuts. But not only did he have that 3-run homer in the Little League Classic, he also put together a nice little hitting streak. And Mark Vientos is a guy where, with Alvy going down, Mark Vientos being able to help carry this team for a little bit is something that we've been missing the entire year. That, John, I feel like you've been saying all year, it's just right around the corner. And there was no reason to not think that Mark Vientos would be able to turn it back on at some point, especially with a little bit more consistent playing time.
Yeah, and I think, obviously the injury and, Brandon Nimmo being hurt opens another spot now. Is it Marte playing the outfield? Is he DHing? And you have different ways of getting different guys in the lineup. And Marte's been great as well. Another big hit, a home run on Thursday for Starling Marte, who over the last, month has really arguably been the Mets' most consistent hitter. So there are positives, but time is running out.
Yeah.
Time is running out. The Cincinnati Reds are a good baseball team, and the Mets do not have an easy schedule. And we said it last episode or 2 episodes ago after the Braves took 2 or 3 from the Mets. No one is going to roll over for the Mets. No one is going to feel bad for the Mets. Anyone with a bat in the batter's box is dangerous. Everyone that is in a major league game is there for a reason. Everyone has something to prove on a major league diamond, whether it's fighting for arbitration numbers, whether it's fighting for a job in 2026, whether it's because they love the game and they do this because they have pride.
Do you remember
as simple as it might be?
Do you remember what Brandon Nimmo said to us in one of the first interviews we did during the year this year?
That was a long interview, and I know that he said a lot. I mean, I remember we talked to him about bouncing back, and how a team gets over, whatever is plaguing them.
The one thing that he said, and it was even the title of the episode, was everybody wants to beat the big bad Mets. Nobody is going into a game against the Mets not thinking about the massive move they made for Juan Soto last year, not thinking about the money that this team spends, not thinking about how everybody likes to celebrate all of the things the Mets do. The Mets became media darlings last year. Everybody celebrated the Mets. That's the kind of team that every team comes into with a chip on their shoulder saying, I want to beat that team. The Mets were the story of the year last year. They had the Cinderella story going all the way to the NLCS. Every team this year wants to beat that team. Brandon Nimmo said it early in the year, and it rings true every week. Why do you think the Braves line up rotations against the Mets even when they're 15 games back? Because they want to beat the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, we had a conversation recently about the Nimmo Michael Harris thing from last year. Michael Harris is playing like the NL MVP right now after he was literally, statistically, the worst hitter in the National League in the first half by virtue of OPS. This guy's playing out of his mind right now. The Braves are done. The Braves fell too far out of it. It's not going to happen for Atlanta this year, but they want nothing more than to take down their heated rival with them and they're going to play their you-know-whats off this weekend, and the Mets have to go into Atlanta, and they've got to be ready. The Mets are going to need to play sharp defensively. The Mets are going to have to come up with timely hits, which they have been doing. Again, a lot of two-out damage, a lot more hitting with runners in scoring position. That's been a trend in the second half for the Mets. The bullpen is going to have to come in and put out some fires and do a good job of keeping the other offense at bay, just like the National bullpen, which had the highest ERA in the majors coming into this series. The Nationals bullpen did a very good job against the Mets when they were nursing a 1-run lead on Wednesday night, and they were nursing what was a 1-run then turned into a 2-run lead on Thursday. I think the only hit that the Nationals bullpen allowed was the infield single by Cedric Mullins in the 9th inning on Wednesday night. So the Mets are going to need strong work out of the bullpen, and they're going to need good starting pitching as well. And obviously that's the name of the game. Can someone not named David Peterson pitch into and through the 6th inning? I am very excited for Friday night. I am very excited to see Nolan McLean's second major league outing. I don't think that Nolan McLean is going to be throwing 8 innings. He has blown past, whatever previous career innings high he had reached in the minors. So I think there's reason to be somewhat cautious, but obviously if this guy can help you win a game, you're going to let him help you win a game. I'm really excited to see Nolan McLean. He just looks like a gamer. He is a gamer, and that stuff is it's filthy. And, now there's a start out there on him. So opposing teams are going to start adjusting to Nolan McLean. And the cat and mouse game we always talk about with guys, how do you adjust back? But I'm really excited to see McLean, really excited to see David Peterson coming off his great start. So this is another huge weekend. We will all be tuned in no matter what terrible thing you said on Twitter. There's always time to delete it. I recommend you just put those thoughts in the group chat, not out there for the entire world to see, but to each his own. I'm not here to lecture you, but we all know come 7:20, whatever it is tomorrow. And I think it's a 4:00 start on Saturday. I should know this, but I don't. Actually, no. Tomorrow, Friday is 7:10 because it's an Apple TV game. That I know. PSA.
I'm gonna be honest with you, John. I don't look at the times before the day of. I wake up and that's when I find out what time the game is going to be.
Unless they're surprised.
Home. Not like being surprised, but I just know it's going to leave my mind. I mean, unless I'm making plans. But for example, this weekend, it's like an open book for us this weekend. We're going to go grocery shopping. We're going to go out for a walk with my daughter. Tomorrow during the day, we might take her to check out the U.S. Open for a little, take the stroller around the grounds. But I don't look a week ahead and see what time the games are going to start.
Well, I hope you don't get offended by me saying this, but it is 7:10 Friday. It is 7:15. That's probably a Fox game on Saturday, 7:15. And then 1:35 start on Sunday. So a couple nice, easy 7:00 starts. It'll be Clay Holmes coming off a pretty good outing in Williamsport on Saturday. He'll look to keep it rolling. So the Mets have their pitching lined up the way that they want it lined up. And then, let's not act like the division is over with 7 head-to-head games against the Philadelphia Phillies. And I'll say it again, when you talked about the injuries, this season in many ways feels like 2016 because all the injuries that piled up. If you remember that 2016 season, the Mets really struggled until really right around this time. They went to San Francisco for a weekend series. Cespedes started to get hot again. That's when the Mets kind of turned it on. I remember Kelly Johnson had some big hits. Jose Reyes had that walk-off home run against A.J. Ramos and the Marlins in a game in early September. And the Mets were scratching and they were clawing just to try to get back to the postseason after they went to the World Series the year before. And they showed up in 2016 and had a world of expectations on them. And everything that could go wrong did go wrong health-wise. Outside of Syndergaard was the last man standing. DeGrom got hurt. Matz got hurt. Harvey got hurt. Wheeler was hurt. I don't think he pitched at all that year. But I think Syndergaard even got hurt too in the middle of the season. But he bounced back and he was able to finish the season. But the Mets got to the playoffs. They got over the hump. They didn't clinch until the final Saturday of the season in Philadelphia. And it kind of feels like that right now. The Mets are really trying to fight some adversity, especially when it comes to health. But they've got the opportunity with the head-to-head games. And that's all you can ask for, right? And if they get it done, great. Then they will deserve the October glory that they earn. And if they can't get it done, you can't say, oh, well, we didn't get that help from that team. No, it's in front of you. And you just want to have matters in your own hand. And this is a deep lineup, and it's hitting, and it's clicking, and we know there's more when it comes to the starting pitching. We know it. We know there's more. I mean, Sean Manaea with the 8 strikeouts. I know he had to be lifted in the 5th, and Tyler Rogers couldn't get out of that inning. He gives up the hit to Andres Chaparro, and that was the last lead change of the game. But for Sean Manaea to rack up 8 strikeouts, a lot of whiffs, that's an encouraging sign. For Sean, it's about, maybe pacing himself and just figuring out the way to get a little deeper into games, to continue to dominate the way that we saw him at times do so on Thursday. We also saw it in his first start of the season against Kansas City, where he was just missing bats left and right. So, the stuff is there. It's frustrating. It's the Larry David meme. That's it. Maybe that should be the thumbnail. Can we get away with that? Can we get away with that?
I don't think we can put Larry David in the thumbnail. But no, John, frustrating is a good word, because the most frustrating thing about these starts lately is that the last week, it feels like you see the first 3 innings and you're like, okay, this is going to be it. This is going to be the day where a guy finally goes into the 6th inning. It looks like they're cruising along. Kodai Senga looked like he was cruising along through 2 yesterday. Sean Manaea through 3, and you're like, this is it. This is the day we finally get this sustained rotation. And then something. It's always something that goes wrong in the infield, or there's some kind of mistake that just kind of spirals on top of itself. But frustrating is the perfect word, because this isn't a bad team. It's just really frustrating right now to watch what's happening.
And, just like Wednesday night, they're still unfortunately coming up short in the smallest of margins in these very close games, where, Cedric Mullins has a chance and he pops one up, but he has 2 hits. Kodai Senga gives up a home run to Josh Bell. After the Mets cut it to 4-1, he gives it right back. He walks a couple guys. The strike zone was a little
wonky.
Wonky is a way of putting it on Wednesday night. That to me is the most frustrating game of the series, because the early lead the Nationals take, and then the Mets get back in it, and they're right there. And that entire night, I can be a guy who sometimes says, yep, I've seen enough. It's bedtime. I'm going to wake up nice and early. Early bird gets the worm. I'm gonna call it quits for the day. I didn't do that last night.
No.
On Wednesday night, I was locked in.
You were active,
because this offense is hitting, and all they had to do was just keep the Nationals at bay. And the Mets bullpen did that, by the way. Tyler Rogers did get a big ground ball double play. Reed Garrett did a good job. So I was feeling like they had every chance to come back in that game, and they did. They got base runners on. They just couldn't come up with a big hit. That was the frustrating one. Obviously a 3-0 lead on Thursday, and once they go up 3-0 and Manaea is cruising, you're feeling like, oh, okay, so whatever, we'll take 2 of 3. But again, like they're right there. They're in all of these games. Even Thursday, they're in that game the entire way until the bottom of the 8th inning, where it then becomes a bit of a laugher. But they're right there. You're a bloop and a blast away from tying a baseball game. You're winning. You're one run down. It's just, but it's a talented team. And so until they're mathematically eliminated, until that moment comes, what do we have to lose, right? And I'm not saying that because I work for the New York Mets or because I'm supposed to be painting a rosy, but like, what do we have to lose? What do we have to lose?
Yeah.
Nothing. You got to believe. Tug said it for a reason. Sorry, Phillies. It's not your thing. It's our thing. We could hash that out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then
do they try to claim that too?
Oh yeah, dude.
I didn't know that.
Phillies fans go to Citizens Bank with "You gotta believe" signs, and I'm like, come on.
That's like, everybody knows that's our thing.
It's lame. It's like, it's cringe, honestly, that the Phillies are trying to claim it. It's really a tough scene. It's weird. I think weird is just probably.
I didn't know that was a thing until right now.
You didn't know that?
No, that's crazy.
Oh yeah, dude. 2022 playoffs, world. Yeah, you gotta believe signs left and right. I'm like, please. I'm sure John Kruk must have said something funny at some point. Why don't you just quote him? Quote him.
How happy are you to not watch another miserable game at Nats Park this year? Because like, Four of the worst losses this year were at that ballpark.
I'll tell you,
the triple play. I mean, like, I feel like the triple play is when things really just started getting frustrating.
I'll tell you the most annoying thing in Major League Baseball. The Nats fans chanting NATS, 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 Nats after every run scored. It is the most annoying thing in Major League Baseball. I'd rather hear, a stadium full of like vuvuzelas than, and it's like not even a strongly throated chant. It's like it sounds through the TV like it's 12 people, that are together at a high school baseball game chanting it. Like, number one, that's the New York Jets thing, like that's the Jets thing. Number two, like, what kind of lame, just what are we doing? So I cannot stand to hear it every single time they score a run. It drives me insane. And yes, Nationals Park has also, like Petco, obviously, like Truist, and Citizens Bank has been a bit of a what over the years. Has been it's been the scene for some tough losses. I go back to September 19th, the 10-4 blown lead, that an all-timer. You mentioned the triple play. That was back in, that was April still, I think. That was right after the Mets swept the Phillies. And they had the Thursday off, and then Alvarez and McNeil came back, and Alvarez homered on Saturday. The triple play happened on Friday night, and they came back still. They tied it, only to lose in the ninth. And then Saturday, I think that they won. And Sunday was the big blown lead, 7-1, 7-0, whatever. Yeah, the Mets don't have to go back there. But you know what? They still have to go to, let's see, I'll rattle off the schedule as best I can. Atlanta this weekend, Detroit and Cincinnati after the upcoming homestand. And then there's then Philly. That's one long road trip. And then they come home for the 9-gamer. And then they end the season in Chicago and Miami.
And if you want to talk about House of Horrors, Chicago Wrigley has been a tough place for this team. I mean, this is going to be a gauntlet in September, but I mean, like John said, you got to believe, and there's no reason not to. There's no reason to think this team can't go on a run. And we do see that they do tend to play up.
They do. And, part of me, as silly as this might sound, like I remember 2022 going into September, late August. I think the Mets ended August with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That was the
Nimmo game.
That was when Timmy Trumpet came. That was August 31st. And then they played a getaway day game against the Dodgers, 4:00. They won that game. And then the Nationals came to town. And that was the start of September, where everyone looked at the schedule and the Mets had the easiest strength of schedule remaining by far. And it didn't go well. They lost 2 of 3 at home to the Nats that weekend. I remember they had the Cubs for like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday series. Got swept at home in that series. Struggled against the Marlins, the Escobar walk-off. Like, they could have easily lost that game. Struggled against Pittsburgh in a couple of the games when the Pirates came to Citi Field. The strength of schedule thing means absolutely nothing.
He's jacked.
It really, yeah. And you know what? Like, in a way, I'd rather be playing good teams. So the Mets are playing good baseball and they're focused and just locked in every single pitch. And like you said, they play up to their competition, and we've seen easy schedules become tough and tough schedules become easy, and baseball doesn't make sense. And that's why we love it. So forget the schedule. Just go and beat whoever's in front of you. That's it. Out-homer them, outclass them on the bases, play better defense, get the big out, get some luck on your damn side for once, and you win more than you lose. And that's where we're at.
That's the toughest thing this year, that it's like, it's such a stupid thing to be angry about, but like, I feel like luck is just not, like, nothing's fallen lucky for this team this year.
Yeah. And, you can't control that. And that's why the 1-run victory stat, people take caution when they look at a team that's winning a lot of 1-run games. You're not dominating and earning each and every victory oftentimes in those 1-run games, because it's literally a game of micro plays and inches. Eventually you will not always have the luck fall on your side. And so on the other side of the coin is a team that is constantly losing by 1 run. There is, positive regression to the mean perhaps in the future that awaits them. And that's what you hope for with the Mets, right?
Yep.
The wind blowing out in the right direction at the certain point of a game where someone hits a fly ball, or Juan Soto on David Wright Day missing a home run, a game-tying 3-run shot by literally an inch or two. June 13th, Soto's ball that Brandon Lau snagged on the warning track, where any other night, I mean, that ball, the exit velocity, the launch angle, that ball is a home run like 99 out of 100 times.
Vientos today looked like that ball was about to be a home run.
Hayden Senger also, by the way, congrats to Hayden Senger. He picked up his first career RBI today with that sac fly. Off the bat, that thing looked ripe. I thought that was off the big fence there or over it.
Soto had 2 today. I mean, it was just God. It was just so. The name of this episode should just be frustrating.
It should be a bunch of characters like
like a censored thing of just cursing.
Except we haven't done that. We don't do that here. I haven't cursed. For everyone that listened or used to listen to Future of Flushing, you go back to 2023 with us. By the way, Jonathan Santucci pitching for the Ponies on Thursday night. He's been a beast for the Ponies, but I don't want to divert too far. I used to say some swear words, and would have to clean it up a lot.
Yeah.
And, just in the course of conversation, I guess that's kind of how I talk, although I don't really curse as much because I can't as much because I'm around youths.
You don't curse that much. I'm a cursor. You're not really that much of a. I curse like crazy in real life.
I mean, I still do, but I pick my spots, and I don't do it here at all. I'm not even tempted to.
No.
You trained me. Pavlovian whistle.
Pavlovian dog. Isn't it Pavlovian dog? Bell. Pavlovian bell.
The bell, right. Whatever noisemaker he used to teach that dog not to do something. That's what's gone on here.
Man, like, it's funny. These episodes, like, John and I look like John and I we're in group chats. Like, we're in group chats that aren't podcast friendly. We complain. We get angry in texts. And we were texting before this game being like, this is going to be a tough one. What are we going to talk about? I mean, there's sometimes when you start this podcast, like, I don't even know how we're going to talk for 10 minutes. Sometimes life finds a way. We just did 30 minutes. And you know what? I used to say this last year in the beginning of the season when things were bad. And I genuinely feel like it right now. I do feel much better at the end of this conversation than I did right before I pressed record.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's why, we host a podcast. That's why we talk Mets, even when the camera and the microphones aren't on. That's why people listen to podcasts. It's to, just get things off your chest. That's why it's always good to talk it out. But I feel the same way. And the thing is, people are going to be listening to this podcast on Friday morning. And I keep saying it, but I'll say it's a new day. Baseball presents you a new day. There is a fresh slate. You're going to open up the MLB app. 15 games. Brand new series. The Reds are going to Arizona starting Friday. It's going to be Zach Littell and Ryan Nelson going head-to-head, 9:40 Eastern time for all those curious. Might want to follow along. Perhaps you got MLB TV, and you're going to watch right after, hopefully, a Mets victory. Brand new day, brand new slate. And after that, you wake up on Saturday morning, you do some errands, maybe you exercise, you get a bagel, you get a coffee. Beautiful Saturday morning. Going to be great weather this weekend.
I love that. This sounds great already.
A Saturday night baseball game. What's better than that?
Nothing.
No work the next day. Maybe you're grilling. Maybe you're ordering in. Maybe you're going out. You're watching on the phone. You're asking the bartender to put the game on. Take some 20 minutes because restaurants can never figure out how to use the damn remote. I don't understand it, but they can't. That's Saturday. And then you're going to wake up on Sunday. I'm a Sunday bagel guy. That's my day for a bagel.
Not Wednesday?
And no, I don't participate. Don't. There's bagels at work on Wednesday, but no, I don't. I'm a Sunday bagel guy. Sunday's the best, right? And they're about to get even better. We're only, 2 weeks away from the start of the NFL season? Next weekend, week 1 college football. Like, yeah, baby, this is a great time of year. Let's have some fun. You're going to wake up Sunday, matinee day baseball. Mets in Atlanta, Mets in the sunshine. Go to the beach. You listen to Keith and Pat. You can watch it on you got plenty of options these days.
Soon to be on ESPN.
Sure. It's gonna be a great weekend. Let's enjoy it. Let's have some fun. Let's go Mets. What else are we gonna do?
You know what? This brings up a perfect time to ask you this question. Is this the year we've talked about it since Future of Flushing? Is this the year we finally start the fantasy football league that's just you being commissioner and the listeners battle it out?
If we can get 10 people that either tweet at one of us or comment on the YouTube video or somehow, some way, get in touch saying, I want to be in that fantasy football league, we could do it.
And we'll give out something good. Like, we will make sure there's a good prize. But John, should it be?
But what if I win it?
Well, I was going to say, are you commissioner or are you just commissioner or do you want to have a team?
I mean, the commissioner participates in the league.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, there's two options. We can either just be overseers and just watch the people fight it out, or Meet at the Apple can have its own team.
Oh, you want to do this in tandem?
Yeah, I will forget.
Right.
I'll forget after week one. I'm really bad at keeping up with fantasy football.
Yeah, I mean, can't be in the fantasy league and not play. That's not fun.
Okay,
Meet at the Apple can have. Let's have a team together. That's a good idea. So we'll do that.
So we need 11 other teams.
We're taking Jackson Dart early. I'll tell you that.
So we have
Kid's a stud. Kid's a stud.
We need 11 people. Tweet at us. I'm at Vito F. Khaleesi. John's at JMB9191. Comment below if you want to be at the Meet at the Apple inaugural 2025 to 2026 Fantasy Football League. Comment below. Tweet at us. We're going to get this thing started. We got to get it drafted in the next week and a half. Comment below. Tweet us. We'll get this started.
Plenty of time. First of all, anyone that drafts before the preseason's over, crazy. I know that guys don't really play as much in the preseason, but there's no need to draft until Monday of week one. There really isn't. Even Wednesday of week one, totally fair. Because then the depth charts are set. You know who's starting. Is there going to be a timeshare? Do I have to handcuff these running backs? Is this wide receiver worth it? Who's the starting quarterback there? Just don't do the draft until Wednesday before, even Thursday at 5 o'clock. A few hours before the Eagles and Cowboys get us started. So anyway, I hope my inspirational speech works because that's how I feel. It's the weekend. It's going to be fun. And then before you know, you guys are going to be back at Citi Field, the last homestand of the summer. Summer is Mets baseball and nights and cotton candy skies at Citi Field.
I'm sorry. That was just a funny pause. Just cotton.
I almost said cotton sky candy. I almost messed that one up, but cotton candy skies at Citi Field. And, some people enjoy a rum bucket. Some people enjoy a hot dog. Some people enjoy a cookie bucket. Some people enjoy good old-fashioned Coors Light. Whatever it is, there's nothing better than the summer at Citi Field. And those days, not a drill, they're fleeting. So let's appreciate what we got. Let's have fun. That's what we do here on Meet at the Apple. Glass Half Full podcast. Always has been, always will be.
And I love that. And I hope to see you guys at PC Richard in Astoria on September 8th, where John and I will be doing a live show. The mascots will be there. We might have a special guest. We're going to be talking Mets. We're going to be having a good time, giving out tons of prizes. I know one thing we'll definitely be giving out at that show is a signed hat by Kodai Senga. I was just giving that the other day to give away, so we're going to be giving that away. We have some other really cool autographs and some really good bobbleheads from this year that if you weren't able to go get at the game, we're going to have some Juan Soto bobbleheads. We're going to have some David Wright bobbleheads. So come out to PC Richard September 8th. Last time PC Richard gave out a gift card. We gave out Mets tickets. September 8th, 6 p.m. PC Richard and Son in Astoria. Come out. Follow us along on Twitter. We'll be giving updates about that event. I'm at Vito F. Khaleesi. John is at JMB9191. Please give the podcast a subscription, a listen, maybe a 5-star review. Write something out for us. It helps us a long way. And the best place in the world to see the podcast, not only on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, but it's going to be at that live show at PC Richard and Son because we love PC Richard and Son.
We do. That's going to be a Met Philly game, by the way, so we'll all be enjoying that together. Maybe we'll order a pizza or two. We'll see. But we do love PC Richard and Son, like Vito said, and there's a lot of reasons to. I'll tell you a few. It's because they have the best, friendliest, most knowledgeable sales staff and the absolute lowest prices guaranteed no matter what it is you are looking for. I myself am venturing to PC Richard of New Hyde Park on Friday. Going to be doing a little browsing, a little perusing. I'm in the market for a couple of items, perhaps a TV, a mattress, a grill, a sound bar, a video game system, a couple of other things. They've got it all and then some. And like I said, they're going to give you the absolute lowest price and the most pleasant shopping experience, really. And both those things together are what I look for when I'm going to buy something. You can't beat that. You can't beat your friends at PC Richard & Son. They are the most experienced as well. They've been doing it since longer than anyone else in the game, since 1909. So check out your local PC Richard & Son store. Everybody, seriously, my last plea, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the baseball. We watch because we love it. There's 26 guys in that dugout, in that clubhouse, that are working hard to turn this around, to get in the postseason, to get us some playoff games in Queens, to go far in the postseason, and to make us all proud. Believe that. Enjoy it. Mets Braves this weekend. Vito, I think it's going to be a happy recap on Sunday. I do.
All right. Well, I hope so. We'll see you guys here Sunday. Thanks for meeting us at the Apple.